There we are. Let's go, world. MIAB back with another reaction video. I'm trying to find my remote so I can turn these extra lights on. There we are. This one's about to be about history, so if you don't like history, then you might as well just leave now, because I'm doing this one straight about some things that people might not know about, some things people might have missed, some things people probably went completely over their heads. I'm just gonna do a quick reaction to it, maybe get everybody, caught back up, because it seems like a lot of people don't even know their own history, and I love history anyway. Some of this stuff I didn't even know about, so I'm gonna do the stream with y'all, clip it up, put it on YouTube, or stream it on here. You already know. Appreciate y'all. Let's get straight to it.
The end. The American Revolution, as I remember it from school, went something like, Studley Stud, George Washington wins the war. Everyone wants him to be king, but he wants to be a president instead. And blessed be our founding fathers, write the holy Constitution, and the Republic is born. Until 1789. What happened in between?
So I failed that whole first 5 minutes. If you see that whole first 5 minutes of me rambling, you kind of just missed all of that. But basically what I said is if you don't like history, you might as well just leave now, because I fucked up. I'm still learning this streaming shit, so that's why I try to give myself a little first 5 minutes to figure it out, because just in case something like that happens. But good thing I seen it, so I didn't do the whole stream on mute. Let's get straight into it.
My feature-length Rome video is now available on page like Studley Stud, George Washington
Oh, again, I'm making the video because a lot of people probably don't understand that our history is what they tell us, not always what is always there. Again, it's just like somebody lying, telling you what you want to hear and not exactly what they did to break the barrier of trust. That's kind of like how our history is. They tell us what they want to tell us, but there's a lot more there if you actually go dig deeper. They put it there, but they don't teach you it all. So I'm gonna do a breakdown of it. Appreciate y'all. Jump straight into it.
Wins the war. Everyone went something like Studley Stud, George Washington wins the war. Everyone wants him to be king, but he wants to be a president instead. And blessed be our founding fathers, write the holy Constitution, and the Republic is born. But that story's missing something. The war was over in 1783, and Washington didn't become president until 1789. What happened in between is one of the messiest, craziest times in American history. Half the time there's no government, the other half Congress is moving from town to town dodging rebellions, America seceded from itself, and some of its states were independent countries. Before the Revolution, the American colonies all behaved like independent countries, and honestly, they hated each other's guts. Some of them even went to war with each other. When they break away from Britain, they need a national government to organize the war, and in that...
Damn, imagine that shit. Imagine every state being a different country. They're just fighting for a different...
When they break away from Britain, they need a national government to organize the war, and in that aspect, they succeeded. And Spain has to give us Florida. I fought on your side, jerkwad. Whether or not the government could actually govern was almost an afterthought. Here's how it worked. If 9 of the 13 colonies agree, then Congress can pass laws, but not enforce them.
I ordered 200
How we gonna add
in my dorm room and built a
like
Wix
2 minutes
website
in
to sell them.
There was even a president. 16 of them, actually, before
16.
Washington. His official job was to be Congress's babysitter, but his real job was to beg the states for money. The states all said, "Who wants Congress to pay for the army? Who wants to pay taxes to Congress? Who wants to pay taxes to..." So Congress didn't have any money. They tried printing money during the war, but without anything to back it up, they crashed the value of the dollar to the point that it wasn't usable anymore. Instead, a local millionaire named Robert Morris began printing his own money, and America paid for everything in Morris bucks for a couple of years. Congress, though, still broke, and they are years behind on paying their...
You see what I'm saying? They don't tell us shit like this. Like, what the hell? What the fuck is a Morris buck?
their soldiers. Congress was nearly overrun during the Revolution, and it wasn't by the British, it was by Americans. A group of unpaid soldiers laid siege to the Capitol and locked the congressmen inside. Alexander Hamilton went to appease the people, saying, "Gentlemen, you have my word. that in good time, Pennsylvania, we're broke, you've got to get rid of these guys. Oh, we definitely could probably...
This is how you know that, like, elections and everything, it's always been about money. The government has always been about money, even from this point.
Take whatever you can and run. They grabbed their papers and scurried off to Princeton. If the war had gone on any longer, who knows, maybe the US would have lost to itself. Now, ending the war was supposed to be the one thing Congress could do. But the president was sitting with a treaty from Britain acknowledging their independence in his hands and still struggled to get the votes to accept it. Not because there were people voting no, but because Congress was such a dead-end job, nobody showed up to work. After Congress finally approved the treaty, there were 6 months where not even the president showed up to work. But the men who risked their lives to fight for America still wanted to be paid. What are you asking me for? I'm not even in Congress. They elected you president 6 months ago. Oh, right. I think I got a letter about that. And you didn't even think to go to the Capitol? I don't reply to junk mail.
It's insane that we had 16 presidents before George Washington, all just trying to wrangle up some money while not paying everybody, just like how it is today.
Congress elects a new president and comes up with a big brain scheme to get around the tax problem. A bunch of states owe money to Congress for the war, but they are not paying. So Congress forgives the debt in exchange for all of their land west of the Appalachian Mountains. Then Congress could sell the land to settlers for money and use that money to pay the army. A few states were reluctant to make the deal. Connecticut, in particular, was a big problem. Connecticut, this tiny little guy in New England, had big dreams of stretching from coast to coast. They even went to war with Pennsylvania 3 times for this land. The treaty with Britain wasn't even a year old.
What the fuck? Could you imagine Connecticut going to war with Pennsylvania, trying to fucking slowly take over the whole...
And America already had a mini civil war. But in the end, Congress got the land, and it was worthless because nobody wanted to live on it. Britain never left parts of it. Spain won't let anyone touch the Mississippi River, and both empires are arming the Native American tribes to fight the Americans, and Congress can't fight back because it can't afford to pay the army. The veterans are getting real mad now, but maybe there's a way to pay them back without giving Congress too much power over the states. Massachusetts is a state that was actively trying to raise the money to pay back their debts from the war, which would ultimately...
Oh, I'm from Massachusetts, so that's why I'm actually doing this video.
...get the veterans paid. That took the form of raising taxes on farmers and veterans, who launched a rebellion and tried to overthrow the government. Massachusetts went to Congress for help. Congress said, "You have fun with that." And Massachusetts was only able to put down the revolt by starting a GoFundMe. They took donations from merchants and got some general to come out of retirement with a private
put
army.
down the revolt.
So there's a lot of people who need a stronger government. Expansionists need help moving west. Soldiers need to get paid. The states need someone to put down rebellions, and the merchants need real monetary policy, not Morris bucks. Even
Whatever
the guys
that is.
who invented the government were getting sick of it. John Adams, big player during the Revolution, now he's an ambassador to the UK. He wants to threaten London with tariffs, and Congress is like, actually, we really can't do that. Then what can you do? To come up with a solution, the states start making deals with each other, which turn into multi-state conferences, which turn into delegations representing almost every state. And hey, wait a minute, this is a Congress, isn't it? And you know, this new Congress should have some new rules. And
So basically, they took everything that they were doing from all 16 presidents before George Washington, and they figured out a way to basically maneuver and trick their way into getting it through money and trading to slowly eventually build.
And there should be somebody to enforce those rules, and like a court system for when the rules are confusing. So the delegates lock themselves in a room and chug Red Bull for 4 months, and they come out with a new constitution. There were a lot of compromises that led to a lot of silly-looking things in there. Like, now there's got to be 2 Congresses, one where the states are equal and one where the voters are equal. And then somebody chimes in and says, the South should get more representation. Did you get more voters? No, but we've got more people. You enslaved them. Yeah, because you said they weren't people. They're not completely people? What, they're...
That's the problem with the South, and the reason why it was never going to be strong, because half of the people that were always a part of that were slaves. And they didn't have respect for them anyway.
Half people, 3/4, 3/5. Done deal. But compared to the mess that was America's first 11 years, they clearly gave it a lot of effort. The next step was to convince Congress to replace itself with a completely new government. And what do you say, Mr. President? Huh? What are we going to do about it? Now they had to get the states on board. Some of them were on board from the start, but a few were more reluctant. What if the first thing we do after we pass the Constitution is change it again? Done deal. Once 9 states were on board, they effectively seceded to go make their own country. Meaning states like New York, who were still weighing how much they actually liked this new constitution, suddenly found themselves kicked out of America. New York didn't want to end up like Vermont, who had fought in the Revolutionary War and then got blocked from joining the US because of border disputes. And they really didn't want to get tariffed by America 2.0, so they went along with the deal. North Carolina held out until after George Washington had been elected president and the Constitution had been amended, and then there was Rhode Island. Rhode Island was riding solo until the rest of America threatened to sanction their entire economy, and they finally capitulated in 1790. And the rest...
I was going to say, you got to give them props for getting all these people to agree, but now I see why.
as they say, is history.
Damn, bro.
And if you like history, I just finished my...
That's what I'm saying. This whole thing from the start has been fucked up. And it's always been about a specific thing, and it's always been about money. I'm gonna move on to the next video. Just give me 1 second. I just gotta go grab a drink. Let me turn the mic off, and I'm gonna remember to turn it back on this time.